fall semester is over, and so are fall sports.
But on this special edition of Bobcat Breakdown, we will give you the top 10 athletes from the fall season.
And Andrew and I will bring to you our own top 10 athletes of the semester.
All that and more coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. Good evening and welcome everyone to this special and final edition of Bobcat Breakdown for this semester. I'm Andrew Badillo.
And I'm Connor Fortier, and on this episode, Andrew and I will go through the top 10 athletes from the fall sports year. And let's get right into it, Andrew. Our number 10 player was one of the senior leaders on the women's soccer team this year, a team that seemingly came out of nowhere in the MAC. She finished up second on the team in goals and led this team with 21 points in her 2016 campaign. Our number 10 player this semester, Jess Fontaine.
Finally, one word to describe Jess Fontaine as a soccer player, what would it be?
Scary. I feel like other people on different teams are very scared of her. She's really fit, and I don't know, I personally like that about her, that she gives that mentality, like she's gonna score on you and you better watch out.
I remember our Monmouth game specifically, not the finals, when we played them in the regular season and we went into overtime. She assisted Nadia's goal, and I remember I headed the ball back to her just out of just hoping that something good would happen, and she somehow held off this defender, spun around her and played a perfect ball 30 yards, completely split the defense and let Nadia in on a breakaway, and that's just the kind of thing that she's able to do.
Her offense is really good. She knows how to be in the right place at the right time. She knows how to finish right, and she knows when to sacrifice. She could personally take it up to the goal and score, but she knows that someone else could personally score better, and we would have a better opportunity to score, so she really knows how to do that well.
She was a pure goal scorer in high school, but I think that's also, not knocking the level that she played at, but it's a little bit different stepping up and scoring 99 goals in college. It's not that easy of a transition. If it was, there'd be more Division I players. But she's definitely a Division I player. She's definitely a Division I athlete. Even now I don't know what her true best position is. I'd say, if we were starting all over again, it's the centre of defence. But then you take away the goals that she scores and the assists that she makes. But in terms of pure performance, she's a better defender than she is an attacker. But she's a lesson for all players coming through that don't drop your head if you're not playing. Become versatile, learn how to defend, learn how to attack, learn how to be strong in the tackle, learn to play on the left, learn to play on the right, because you guarantee that you're going to play.
I feel like Jess is a quiet person, but she is a really strong leader. She comes up to you after the game and during the locker room to motivate you in small little ways, but she's been really helpful for me personally, in the beginning of preseason, coming from such a far state like the Midwest. She was really welcoming, even though she's kind of more quiet, but she's really helpful on and off the field.
One, it's leadership. Two, for me, it's just the drive that she had. She sort of felt slighted in terms of her own recognition last year and the type of season that she had. So you push those buttons. The motivation to do well, the motivation to win accolades, the motivation to get recognition in the conference and beyond. And then if a player's motivated by that, and it also helps the team, it's sort of the foundation for success. And she matured, going back to the leadership thing, she matured.
It's awesome to have Jess as a teammate. I mean, she's really nice, she's funny, she's smart, and she works hard, so she kind of just brings a positive attitude to the team.
So Andrew, Jess Fontaine really started out as a young standout for this team, but kind of evolved into this team leader that we now see her as. What did you think of her season?
Oh, 100% agree with that, Connor. Throughout her progression from her freshman to this season was fantastic, and it all culminated this year. 5 goals, 12 assists, team leading 22 points. Just an outstanding year. She was one of the leaders on this team in the locker room and on the field, leading the way for younger players like Jess Gargan. Nadia Gill, who we may see a little bit later on in this top 10. I'm not going to completely give it away, but we might see her a little bit later on. But Jess Fontaine, just a fantastic season.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it. You mentioned her on-field statistics, but it's more of the off-field. Like I said, she was here a young standout when she was a freshman. When this program kind of had trouble scoring, she kind of got kick-started that scoring a little bit when she was a freshman and saw her involved in this team later and really helped out younger players, like you said, like Nadia Gill. But I do believe you have our number 9 player this semester.
Yes, exactly. The number 9 player this semester, Jen Coffey, coming in at number 9. In her sophomore season, Coffey emerged as an elite player for the Bobcats. The first team All-MAC selection, led the team with 404 kills on the year, with 17 of them coming against Niagara in the MAC quarterfinals, which at the time, Connor, was the Bobcats' first postseason win in 16 years. Jen Coffey, Bobcat Breakdown's number 9 player this semester.
One word to describe Jen as a volleyball player, what would it be?
I'd have to say intense. She's intense vocally. She's very loud and engaged in every single point of practice and games. And also you can just see it, in her face. She's very focused and, she's scary to play against. She hits the ball really, really hard. So I'd have to describe her as being very intense. So Jen is a very intense player, and she's a really great teammate.
She was a huge part of the team, especially as a setter. I knew I could always rely on her on the court. But not only that, off the court too, she was a huge confidence booster. She was always confident in herself and the team, and that made a huge impact on me because I knew I could be confident in myself as well as the team.
Off the court, she's been like a great friend, and she's always like talking to us, and definitely helps us with a lot of things.
She was always like pumped up and so loud. Her energy was amazing all the time. And I think the biggest thing was that from game to game, she stayed consistent in like her attitude and how she portrayed herself. And that was huge in keeping the confidence, even in tough games or really in pressure situations. It was huge.
She brings such like great energy to the court and really like picks us up when we're down.
I really love practicing with her. She's very good at pushing herself and pushing those around her. So, she's very integral in, during practice and in a game. She plays with such intensity and she never really gets frustrated visibly, which is, a very great trait to have for an athlete.
In the locker room before, when we're warming up, before we play, she's always loud and energetic and cheering us on and really supportive of all of us. And then in the locker room, she's always like yelling, like all these positive things.
She's very good at being vocal. She's a very intense player, and so that automatically affected those playing around her. She just gives a lot of effort in every drill and every practice. So she sets a really good example for the younger kids, what the definition of hard work means, and how to play with your heart and not just go through the motions.
She would always help me. She'd always be like, "You're doing amazing," or she'll like give me tips. And she gave me off the court. She talked about things that helped her when she was a freshman. I think that helped me to use that in my experience.
Match point of the semifinals against Marist, when we looked at each other right away at the end, and we just were in shock. We were like, "Oh my God, we're going to the finals, like this is amazing." So it was a great moment to share with her.
So in the first round of the conference tournament, we were playing Niagara, and that was a really crazy game. It went to 5 sets, and I think it was match point for them. They were up 14, we had 13, and Jen was standing behind me at the net. And I was kind of starting to panic, and I'm like, "We need this point," and she was very calm, and she was like, "Don't worry, we're going to get this point, and I'm going to put this ball down, and we're going to win this game, and it's going to be okay." So that was really sweet of her, since I'm a senior and she's a sophomore, to kind of bring that calm, even though she's younger and inexperienced. That I think was my favorite moment with her. And then we got the next point, and the next point, and the next point, and we won the game. And afterwards we were hugging and stuff, and she's like, "See, I told you, it was all going to be fine." And I think that was my favorite moment with her this year.
All right, really quick, I'm putting you on the spot. We did it in the interviews, but one word to describe Jen Coffey's season.
Electric. She led the team in all offensive categories, a huge part for the revival for this team.
All right. Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown, we reveal our number 8 and 7 players who both made significant impacts on the pitch.
Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Welcome into Studio
That's my
125.
fault.
So what? So what?
If you score 40
Yeah.
points in a basketball game,
That's
we
my
all know you
fault.
play Quinnipiac intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy.
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
Coming up, coming up, coming up,
Coming up on hashtag that.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the pipe. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
coming up, coming up, coming up,
Coming up on hashtag that.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the pipe. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
And welcome back to the special edition of Bobcat Breakdown. We go to the women's soccer team again for our number 8 player of the semester. The sophomore from Ontario, Canada, Nadia Gill, led the team with 9 goals on the year and earned all ECAC honorable mention for her year. Nadia Gill, our number 8 player of the semester.
I mean, I think we all came in knowing that like Nadia's been working all year and like she's our standard, like that's like what we all need to like play like. So knowing that she's there working all summer kind of motivates us to work that much harder. In the off season, Nadia didn't even go home. She was here all summer, all winter break, working out with our strength coach Emily every single day.
I think a lot of us were very motivated to match her level of play just because she was here all this time working out. Preseason, I think a lot of us wanted to match her level of skills that she had been working on during the summer.
Because it's just that layering of fitness, you know, you call it that. So yeah, the full-time training helped, but in truth, the benefit of that might not actually be until next year, because now she has something further to build on. You know, as the season got going, she definitely, you know, she played well in certain games, but she's still capable of more.
We could always count on her to score and score at the right moment, and when we really needed her, especially when we were down. Plus, she could just make things happen. Like, if we were down 2-0, she could go straight to the goal, and that would put the other team on edge.
She just comes in clutch and scores these crazy goals that, like, when no one else can.
I just feel like she's always there within the game, and she scores beautiful goals. But specifically, I remember the Monmouth game when we scored first, and she went one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and then she fell, like, tumbled. That's the biggest moment I remember.
And she scores a lot of, like, clutch goals. I know she scored in our Manhattan game. She scored in, like, our Iona game when we needed to score to keep the lead.
Dangerous. She can score on anyone at any possible moment, and it can go from her just walking on the field to, like, her sprinting and scoring on you. So she's very dangerous.
So Andrew, Nadia Gill, another very impressive offensive season for the Bobcats. What did you think of her?
Fantastic season, Connor. Leading the team with 9 goals, tremendous progression from last season. She actually stayed in Hamden for the entire summer training here. Didn't go home. She's from Canada, so that's a
big commitment.
Ways away for a youngster like her. Going into her junior year, Dave Clark really wants her to work more on her offensive prowess. Finishing goals, basically. He wants her to get to 20 goals because she aspires to make the Canadian national team, and that is certainly a
big
goal.
aspiration, yeah.
Big aspiration, but 20 goals next season, all-MAC selection again.
Without Jess Fontaine there, her role will increase, so it could be possible for the young.
Certainly. She's going to have to take a big step. But moving along, staying on the pitch, Chris Yakovidis comes in at number 7 in our countdown. The Greek international sprung onto the scene for the Bobcats this season, winning the starting job during non-conference play. Yakovidis anchored the new-look backline for the Bobcats. He posted 7 shutouts on his way to the MAC All-Rookie team. Chris Yakovidis, our 7th selection in the countdown.
He's a competitor. I think competitor would be the word I would use to describe him. Chris Yakovidis has been tremendous, made an immediate impact. We definitely knew what type of qualities we were getting from Chris when we recruited him.
Yeah, look, Chris has come in and, you know, it's only his first year, and I think 4 years, a lot of time to develop and even work more and then get better, so I think he's a lot of potential.
He wants to get better every day, and there's some intensity to that. It's always difficult, especially in that position, to have a freshman come in who doesn't have, obviously, experience behind them, and that was always going to be the wild card with Chris, is to see how quickly he could adapt, you know, coming so far away from home. Certainly when you have a goalkeeper that helps keep you in games, especially against the competitive schedule that we face. It always gives you confidence.
Every single game he's made important saves.
We've been fortunate enough to have a lot of really good goalkeepers come through here. It's sort of the staple of our team. We try to build from the back forward. We see a lot of similarities in him and that in other goalkeepers that we've had that have had positive careers, and we hope that he can look at that and know that he's in an environment where he can continue to grow and get better, and if he continues to do that, then our future is bright.
He's always kicking balls, making saves for the free kicks, staying out, helping all the strikers with finishing after that. You know, I think he's improved a lot from him. With
Chris, it's more just been, you know, the evolution of him as a player throughout the year and having to deal with some competition. And, you know, Brian really put up a good fight and put him under some pressure, and Chris handled that really well. And I think at that point we really started to see him mature a little bit and start to evolve, and that's probably where, you know, he solidified the starting position. So every time he came into training, he had a smile on his face and positive energy, and he worked his tail off to try to improve and help the team win. It's hard for the international kids when they come in here, especially those who come in as with English being a second language. It's definitely having to adjust to the culture is one thing. Having to adjust to being able to communicate with people is a totally different story. Coming so far away from home as an international student and adapting to the American culture, adapting to the college lifestyle, college soccer, etc., and being young. But, you know, he settled in pretty quickly.
Off the pitch, he's just a really nice lad. You know, Chris has come in from Greece, maybe not speaking as much English as everyone else, you know, so I think we have sort of had to look after him more, and I think he's grown more and more into the group. You know, he's like a brother to most of us now.
We've really started to see Chris's personality come out a lot earlier, and he's a happy guy. He's a very focused and committed guy. Yeah, I want to see Chris continue to grow. Certainly he set the bar high for himself, and we did as a team coming into this season, but he has qualities that are going to help him be successful at the college level, and we're excited to see how he continues to develop and grow as a leader.
And then what's one word to describe Chris Yakovides as a soccer player?
Resilient.
Yeah, we're excited about Chris's future. We're hoping that he continues to develop and continues to work hard to get better, and if he continues on the trajectory that he's on now, he'll have four great years for us.
All right, Connor. Chris Yakovides, the first legitimate goaltender Quinnipiac has had in a couple of years now. What did you think of his season?
Yeah, I think he had a great season. This is a team that likes to play defensive. Coach DeCosta said in the piece that he likes to build his team from the back up. And I think now he has a consistent goaltender to do that, the likes we haven't seen probably since Borja Goita. I know we're dating ourselves here. But he was an extremely good goaltender here, and that's DeCosta was able to build his team around that. And I think Yakovides maybe has the opportunity to do that here for this team.
Greek International had a fantastic season, but on deck are number 6 and 5 players. One's a national champion again,
and one played a big part in her team's transition to a new conference. Don't go away, you're watching Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Welcome into Studio 125.
So what? If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy.
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monmouth player.
Coming up, coming up, coming up.
Coming up on hashtag that.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Left ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the puck. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
Welcome back to this Top 10 special edition of Bobcat Breakdown. We come out of the break at our number 6 player of the semester. The field hockey team made a big jump in conference this year to the Big East, and this player was instrumental in their transition year by leading the team in goals and earned all Big East second team honors. Savannah Riley is our number 6 player of the semester.
Savannah's a person that gives everybody hope that someday they can be the leading scorer on our team. She has come from literally the bottom of the barrel and became one of the best players we've ever had. The most improved player Savannah is that I've ever had in my 22 career, and sets the example for those players that are dreaming big. Savannah dreamed big, and then she followed up her actions with the words and actions required to be an elite athlete.
Savannah's resilient. That's throughout her whole career, just kept pushing. I mean, she came in basically a walk-on, telling that she probably wouldn't make it past her first or second year, and then she ends her 5th year as leading scorer, scores the game winner in overtime against Old Dominion. So there's nothing that she won't do to win.
Her one saying that she kind of said throughout the entire season was, "If the ball gets by you, the body doesn't," and that kind of like epitomizes her as a player. She put everything she had into the game after every practice, during every game, and you could always count on her to give 100% of the time.
Savannah's the person that takes everything seriously. I think if you know her off the field, she looks lighthearted, type B, hang out, but she's a person that everything is serious, whether she's preparing to get on the field, whether she's preparing to go into the MAC or the NEC, or now in the Big East. So I think that serious focus and ability to know when you can turn the switch on and off is what made her so valuable and so trusted and such an absolutely wonderful captain for us.
Obviously, we had some struggles putting the ball in the net, but we knew Savannah would do everything that she could, and that pushed other people and the other forwards that she played with to do the same. And to know that Savannah had the skill and the determination and the grit to get the ball in the net was definitely a confidence booster going into big games like ODU.
I loved it. Whenever I'd get the ball, I'd look immediately for Savannah. I would just know when I gave her the ball, she would do something with it, whether it was just carry it down the line and wait for one of us to run forward and receive it back. She's just a very reliable player and very trusting on the ball.
I think Savannah's not the person that, oh, she just sticks her stick out and it happens to go in the cage. It came from 15 minutes of hard work to get to the place where she's read the situation, read the game, and been able to put it away. She also puts away some of the weirdest bouncing balls that you've ever seen that really comes from constant repetition and practice. So I think what she does is she sets the tone for people understanding hard work just gets you a seat at the table. But hard work consistently with a focus in terms of what you're doing gets you to your goals.
Well, a lot of our goals, we've assisted each other's goals, so it's been really good. She's really improved my goal scoring ability because she would always be there and give me the ball for me to finish off the last touch and vice versa for her goals. She just really pushed me to want to score more, do better.
Yeah, I mean, just watching her grow since sophomore year, because we kind of came in the same positions, although I'm a year younger than her, I kind of watched her grow, so her being the leading scorer and really contributing, it's just so fun to watch her play. She doesn't really have a conventional or really typical style of hockey, but when you watch her and kind of see how things click in her head, she's amazing.
Off the field, Savannah has just brought the best personality I could ever ask for. She's always happy, always smiling. She makes everything amusing, and just she's a great person to be around. She's never comes to practice with a bad attitude, and that's, I think, the key component that allows her to play to the best of her ability, because if you have a good mindset, then you play well. And that's what she's done throughout the entire season, and I strive to do the same thing in my upcoming seasons.
Oh, she's wonderful. I love Savannah. I'm really going to miss her next year. There's just no words to even describe her. She's just a very, very nice young lady.
So Andrew, Savannah Riley, a huge part of this team when they were in the MAC, but it looks like she was even a bigger part this year in the Big East. What did you think of her season?
Oh, certainly. Upperclassmen leadership. She was absolutely fantastic in the transition year to the Big East for the field hockey team. 9 goals, 4 assists for a team leading 22 points. She scored that game-winning goal against Old Dominion. Probably the biggest win in Quinnipiac field hockey history, if you take away the championships that they've won. But Savannah Riley, along with Angie King on that team, both fantastic this season.
One of the reasons why they were named captains.
Exactly. And coming in at number 5, women's rugby player Alona Marr was a force in the team's national championship game triumph over Central Washington as she scored 3 crucial tries to lead Quinnipiac to victory. Hampered by an injured hamstring for a good portion of the season, Marr still produced at an elite level for the Bobcats, earning her the number 5 spot on our countdown.
Marr has been invaluable every season that we've had her.
After transferring from Norwich, and the moment that she joined our team, she was a great influence. She worked 110% in the weight room, on the field, and even though she was new to the team and you're trying to find your mold and fit in and everything like that, she's a little goofball.
As in the weight room, she came back with her goal in mind of being able to squat 300. She's surpassed that.
Biggest ways that I've seen her pushing people is in the weight room. She's always she's a powerhouse. She's squatting over 300 pounds, and she's always pushing people to partner up with someone that is going to push you as well. So she wants us to all be the best that we can be and meet our goals. So that's probably where
Committed to have has certainly made her a 10 times more explosive player than she was.
She's just a big voice to have. She has a lot of energy, so she gets everybody going. She keeps everybody focused. So,
being the more supportive player, I think, has made her a more well-rounded player. And you obviously look at her from a fan perspective, a coach perspective, even a teammate perspective, and just to watch her run, even in some of those clips that you've seen in some of the videos, it's a marvelous thing to be able to watch her take down the opposition. But really, when she's drawing in 3 or 4 players at a time, she's really giving opportunities to her teammates, and I think that her teammates realize how much of a change that she's made.
support. That's a new position to me. I'm usually an outside flanker, open side flanker. And she's just helped me, talking to me on my outside. Like, rugby's all about communication, and if you don't have it, then you don't flow as one. So she's helped me in that way.
State game, but it was probably one of our standout games and one of the best games we've had as a program ever. Ilona played that role in the Penn State game very well, and I think to the best that we could possibly have expected her to. She was coming off of a hamstring injury from the Castleton game, which you wouldn't believe, which obviously there were such high margins, you wouldn't think that anything happened, but and not to say that there was anything good about that injury slowing her down any, but what it did was it forced everybody to rise up, and instead of having to watch Ilona bust through people, she had to run with more precision. She had to run her runs had to be more calculated. So when that happened, she opened up opportunities for everybody around her, and it was an amazing thing to watch. I would describe Ilona Mar as just one, huh? That's hard. I would describe Ilona Mar as determined. 100% determined. I mean, she has all the tools to be able to do it, but I know plenty of talented players, and they've even played at Quinnipiac that have had the tools that haven't had the determination and desire that she's actually had. So it really just, again, adds to her resume.
All right, Connor, as I said earlier, Ilona Mar was fantastic in that national championship game, but really she's been great for the Bobcats. She was great for the Bobcats the entire year.
Yeah, what's that old adage, your best play, show about your best time, and that's exactly what she did. We get to talk all about her highlights on or off the field, but 3 tries in the national championship game, that's when their best players show up, and she got the all-important first one, too, and the national championship set the pace for the rest of the team. She was huge for this team this year, especially and when it mattered. Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown, Andrew and I bring you the number 4 and 3 players on our countdown.
Also, Connor and I will talk about our personal top 10, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown, where we will continue to roll along with our top 10. Now, as we get on to our number 4 athlete of the semester. This athlete was the freshman standout on the women's volleyball team this year, and their setter, and earned the Athlete of the Month honor for the month of November. Maria Pansari is our number 4 athlete of the semester.
Obviously, coming in as a freshman, she had quite a bit of nerves in the beginning, and adjusting to college and adjusting to a new team, and college volleyball is obviously much faster than high school. And she just adjusted so quickly to that. So I actually helped run the camp last year that we have for high school kids for the season, and she was there. And coach was like, "Oh, I'm recruiting her as a setter. What do you think?" So we, ran a couple plays together just for fun. She set me a few times in the middle. And, I could tell right then that, she's very talented and she's very strong and very fast.
Well, she's like the quarterback of the team. She's the setter, so she's had
really consistent games and sets, so she's definitely set us up to get kills. And off the court, she's a great student. She's a bio major just like me, so we help each other with that.
It was huge. I mean, you know, setter's obviously the quarterback, like I said before, and so, you know, that player needs to be the most consistent person on the court, you know, someone that you can rely on because, you know, all of the hitters depend on her.
She worked outside of practice with coaches to get better at setting and making her sets more consistent, and she is not the loudest person on the court, but she's gotten a lot better. She's really loud and she really helps the team.
I mean, I never went into a game worrying about her or whether the sets were going to be there or not, which allowed me to focus on myself and like my hitting techniques and what I needed to do better, because no one ever had to worry, you know, if she was going to get you the ball. You know, after a while of like us communicating together, you know, she would start to give me, you know, criticism back, and you know, I told her, like, Maria, it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, because when you're on the court, everyone is the same. You know, we're all seniors, we're all freshmen, you know, whatever it is. And so I think as she started to gain confidence, she started to help me out and give me pointers and you know, elevate my game in a way that wouldn't have happened without her.
Final like match point of when we played Niagara, that was really great because she set up one of our teammates, Natalie, and she put the ball down for a kill, and it was just a great moment.
I think again in the conference tournament, you know, in the first game against Niagara, she was so nervous and she had missed quite a few serves throughout the match. And then when it got down to those game points in the fifth set, you know, we were down 14-13. We had the ball, and you know, everyone was a little nervous, and Maria just stepped up to serve and was very poised and confident, and she got an ace, and then, you know, had the next two beautiful sets that won us the game. And so, you know, through all of her ups and downs, and you know, the team's ups and downs throughout the season, that was a critical moment that we needed her, and we needed her to be calm and confident, and she came through, and she, you know, she delivered. She won the game for us, and I think that was her most special moment of the year. You know, she really led the team as our setter, and you know, she ran a great offense. She's very, very smart. You know, she's very coachable, which is huge. You know, she's just a little sponge. She takes criticism from everyone and flips it into, you know, constructive and productive instead of, you know, getting down on herself. So she was, you know, obviously at the core of all of our success.
So Andrew, Pansari came out of nowhere, like I said, for this team, kind of stepping up for her Emma Ogden as the team setter. Big surprise this year. What did you think of her?
Absolutely, Connor. She was fantastic. MAC all-rookie team. She was actually 6th in the country in assists with 1,358. Connor, a fantastic season for Pansari. Not really expected to make that much of an impact. Player gets hurt, she steps right in, and the entire volleyball team, I mean, they just were fantastic this year. No one could have even guessed the success that they would have had this year.
No, not even close.
All right, moving on to our number 3 selection. It's Angie King from the field hockey team. In 2016, King once again displayed how dominant a player she is on defense, as she led the nation in defensive saves with 13. Along with fellow top 10 teammate Savannah Riley, King helped ease the Bobcats' transition to the Big East in her final season. Reasons why she lands at number 3 on our countdown.
Angie King is a professional. I would also say she's a professional Bobcat. It's the best compliment I could pay to someone. Field hockey and being a Bobcat is important, and it's on her mind 24/7 in a healthy way, in a balanced way. So she's that person who's thinking a step ahead, who when I have a conversation about what we need to do has already been thinking about it. And for me has been really my right hand in terms of what I need on the field.
She's helped us a lot with her leadership, for example, always helping us whenever things wouldn't go our way. She'd call us in and talk to us about something and get our heads back in the game if we ever had our heads down. She would always be very calm when things weren't going right. She would make us feel calm, and we'd all just continue forward.
Angie was one of the lucky players. She was already Big East material before we even went into the Big East in terms of how she trained, how she prepared, and the mental side of her. So we knew from the very start that that's a person you need to build around, and that's exactly what we did this year. And that has culminated in pretty much a career that anybody would be envious of. So for us, Angie's always been Big East material, and really being able to showcase her this year in the proper way was pretty exciting.
She's really pushed me to my limits. Like in practices, for example, she would always be doing her best and pushing me to be better. Even at the moment, if it's annoying, she would always make sure we were all pushed to our best ability.
Whenever you have the opportunity to have a national leader in stats on your team, Angie King has led the nation 2 years in a row, and it looks like it's going to happen again. You have a consummate professional, someone who puts their time in. On the field, she's dynamic. On the field, everyone notices her. You leave a game and they go, oh, that number 4, she really did a nice job. Or that number 4 saved you, and she saved us a lot. So Angie is the first person you're going to recognize when you see on the field when we play a game.
She's one of those players that when you make a mistake, you know she's there, and it's just such a breath of fresh air because you know she's going to save your butt that day. She's always on. Like, I've never been to a game, I've never watched her play or played with her, and she hasn't had an amazing game. Even when she thinks she hasn't had the best game, she probably has like 5 defensive saves. She's such a strong player.
Being a goalie and having Angie be like my sweeper who was right in front of me, it made my transition to the game much more easy, and it just made my level of play excel as well because I know she always had my back and I always had her back, and having her consistency as a defender was just like what a goalie always wants and what a team always wants, because being a captain and being a senior, that's the level of play you aspire to be at, and for her to be there was just amazing.
Angie's a huge leader off the field. She's someone that everyone looks to speak up when no one knows what to say. She's always motivating, and she does the pregame speech. She does everything, and you could also she leads by example, and then she'll hold everyone on the team accountable as well.
She played a very vital role off the field. She's very approachable. If you ever have a problem with anything, she's the first person we would go and speak about a problem, issue, just general conversation. She's very easy to just have a normal conversation, not about field hockey. Very approachable young lady.
I've never felt that I couldn't go to her, and because of that, I always knew if I was having trouble on or off the field that she would be the one to go to.
Angie's I'm having a really hard time saying goodbye to. Somebody, Billy Meck in our department just said, oh, you're an alumni now, and I almost broke down. So for me, I'm trying to pretend she's not leaving. She has really been the catalyst for everything that's happened to us this year successfully. She's the person that's gotten us out of everything. So for me, she's a trusted confidant. I've already had 3 or 4 conversations in the last 3 weeks getting her opinion moving forward. So I'm excited to keep her in my list of people I trust the most, and I'm excited to see what she does in the future.
All right, Connor, Angie King has continually done it in her 4-year career at Quinnipiac. Another fantastic year this season.
Yeah, if I could use one word to really describe her, it would probably be workhorse. She logged the most amount of minutes on this team, started every single game, great defensive player. She really was the backbone of this team. And you could saw she was a captain this year, very vocal when they went to the sidelines with timeouts, led them to a pretty good record in the Big East and a good transition year. So good stuff from Angie King.
The funny part about all those interviews, every single player, and Becca Main said that one word to describe Angie King would be fierce. I mean, that just shows
fierce workhorse.
Fierce workhorse.
Okay, yeah,
exactly. It just shows how tightly knit the team was and how much of a leader Angie King was. But coming up next, we will reveal who will take the top spot in our countdown.
Then Andrew and I will take a look at our own top 10s and see where we disagree. All that coming up next on Bobcat Breakdown.
All this and more.
Coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the puck. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown, and we are down to just two, the top two players of the semester. Coming in at number 2, we go to the back-to-back national champions women's rugby team. Maggie Miles is one of the senior leaders on this team, and she did her part in leading the team to back-to-back national champions, like I said.
Maggie Miles is our leader. She's really, we all look to her for advice and for that leadership. She's our captain. She's the one that I think we all respect, and we all know that Maggie knows the game of rugby, and she knows what we need to do, and she always has her mind on winning. That role of she's also a very high-level D player. Her persona demands that there is a 100% speed at all times, but we all know that when we do something as quickly as possible, is it going to be the most precise? No, and I think that one of the things that Maggie has learned and how she's evolved as a player is that she has worked to be more precise and still go 100 miles an hour, which is a very rare combination in an athlete.
The player, she does a speech for us, like we all huddle and do the stomp every time, and she does the same speech, and it's that consistency. You know, she doesn't waver from consistency, and that's what you need in a team. She can insert herself anywhere, so her vision is great. Especially from the position that she's in.
She's always been doing work off of the field. She plays all year round. She's one of those players that just can't get enough of playing rugby. There's absolutely no comparison to any fullback that I've ever had in the way that Maggie's embraced that position, because originally she was playing at fly half. And to be able to take that fullback position and really embrace it, and you want your most dominant player in the back. That's your last line of defense, and there's nobody there that I would want more than Maggie.
I have to say, when I first came to Quinnipiac, for me it takes a lot for me to respect, or to build respect for other players, and I have to see how they play, I have to see how they act on the field, and I think it was immediate the way I found respect for Maggie Miles. Both played since we were I've played rugby since I was 8 years old, and I think she's been playing since she could walk with her dad.
I see a lot of myself as a player in Maggie, which is why we probably had so much of our communication in the beginning was a little bit rocky, because I saw so much of myself in her and being able to communicate with her, and I understood her, but a lot of her other teammates did not.
One day in practice, we were just dropping a lot of balls, and we weren't playing like we could, and I was captain as well, but I'm not at that level of Maggie yet, where I can just step up and really bring the team together yet. But Maggie was just fed up with it, and I think we were all fed up with it, but she really took a stand and really brought us all in and said, this is what we need to do. And because as a captain, there's days when you're going to be liked and there's days when you're not going to be liked. And Maggie she realizes that, and realizes that, being a captain comes before being liked by the whole team. Did something to her knee later on in the season. And she didn't let it bother her. She kept on doing it, even though some may seem that is a bit of a silly move, but she wanted to be there for us, so she pushed through, and she did her work off the field very quickly, so she could get on the field very quickly.
Played against Central Washington, and I think that a lot of the other videos that you may have seen show that the first time that we played them, we were getting the blowback from all of the hurricane that was coming off the coast. So it rained for 24 hours straight. So having to go out and play in mud that is 3 or 4 inches deep, and it's like running on the beach. And, like I was just saying, Maggie's that last line of defense as a fullback. And, the second try that they had scored off of us, Maggie actually slipped. And that's a tackle that Maggie just never misses. And she slipped. And they slipped through. And it was the 3 tries that they did score were the tries that were just that big play that they made. It wasn't necessarily anything that they did consistently. But Maggie, that's the one thing that stands out, Maggie missing that tackle, because the old Maggie that would have played sophomore year or freshman year that would have missed that tackle would have let that affect her, and she didn't. She got right back up, and she spoke to the team after the score, and she addressed the team and owned up to each of them, allowed each of the players to own up to their mistakes and acknowledging her own, and that was just a great thing that happened. But the old Maggie that came in would have let that sit right here. Instead, she put it in the back because that's what we needed to do for the team, which is why even in a torrential downpour, it was that close.
Maggie's dependable, and Maggie's fierce. I think you don't underestimate her. She's a small person, but gosh, I've seen girls go at her straight on and they completely miss a tackle.
All right, Andrew, Maggie Miles, probably the best player on this women's rugby team this year. What did you think of her play?
Yeah, the old cliche glue guy. In this case, it would be Maggie Miles for the women's rugby team. She was fantastic. Becky Carlson said it. She doesn't think she's missed a tackle. She missed a tackle all season en route to the defending national championship trophy that the rugby team won. Maggie Miles was a fantastic player for this team, really spearheaded that offensive attack of Alona Marr, Emily Roskopf, and Flora Poole. Just a fantastic, fantastic player Maggie Miles was for this team.
Yeah, 30 solo tackles on the year. That's an impressive stat, and like you said, she probably didn't miss that national championship game at all.
All right, Connor, our number one player of the fall season, can I get a little drum roll? Is men's soccer forward Eamon Whalen. The freshman forward led the Bobcats with 11 goals, the most by a Bobcat since Graciano Brito netted 18 in 2008. For his offensive prowess, Whalen earned MAC All-Rookie and First Team honors. Eamon Whalen, Bobcat Breakdown's number one fall semester athlete.
Eamon Whalen's been Eamon Whalen. You know, he scores goals. I've known Eamon for a long time. I've coached him for quite a while. He's not one of those guys who, you know, is always going to be out training and always going to be doing extra. He has a lot of different interests. He's a really balanced kid. He knows exactly what he wants out of life. Academics are very important to him, so we see him putting a lot of effort in there. But he does a lot of things. One of Eamon's, you know, probably best attributes is, you know, he learns from the guys around him.
Again, Eamon I shout a lot at because he doesn't run maybe as much as people would like, but I think he's scoring goals, and for me, it's making my job a lot easier with him up front scoring.
And coming off of a season where we really struggled to score goals and created a bunch of chances and just didn't put them over the line, this year hasn't really been all that different. You know, we created a bunch of chances again. The difference was, you know, Eamon was there to put them away. You know, he's a really intelligent player. He's a gifted player in terms of his sense to be in the right place at the right time, and certainly his ability to put goals away. You know, as a freshman to come in and score 10 or 11 goals or whatever he finished with, that's a pretty high mark to start off with. Yeah, it was probably the goal he scored at Louisville. You know, Louisville's playing in the Final Four this coming weekend. And we were down 1-0 to them late in the second half, and Eamon was able to get the equalizer. I think that was a big moment for him because it sort of set the table for him, knowing that even on the biggest stages, you know, he can produce and he can help his team get something out of the game. And I think his confidence sort of, he's a confident guy by nature, but I think he grew in confidence from that game forward, knowing that it doesn't matter who we're going to play against throughout the year, he'll always be in a position to hopefully score a goal and help his team get a result. Yeah, the offseason is going to be interesting for him because, you know, he set the bar pretty high as a freshman. That's great. That's what we want from all of our players. And we've had players come in and do that. Graciano Brito is one. Philip Surprise was probably another who, you know, came in and had a great freshman year and were able to sustain that and continue to have progress throughout their 4-year career.
You know, coming in as freshmen, it's tough maybe to even get your place, never mind consistently play well. I think Eamon showed that he can do this, and again, as you said, it's only freshman. He's plenty more to come over the next few years.
You know, he was rookie of the year in the league and led our team in scoring, but you'll probably have an opportunity to talk to him at some point. He's probably one of the most humble kids you'll meet, so you know, he'll thank his teammates for putting him in a position to score those goals, and he'll get right back to work and try to find ways to continue to help his team win. He doesn't come in with any type of ego or arrogance about him. He just wants to be one of the guys and wants to be one of the quiet guys on the team. So, you know, he'll just get in line and do what's necessary, and people ask him to do things, he'll do it. On the field, that's scoring goals and helping contribute to winning games. And off the field, he'll literally do whatever he needs to do to help someone out.
And what's one word to describe him as a soccer player?
Poacher.
Smart. Yeah, he's definitely probably the smartest guy that we have on the team, maybe on and off the field.
All right, Connor, Eamon Whalen, an absolutely incredible season in just his first year in Hamden.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the storyline for this show. Freshmen are people who we didn't expect to kind of contributed and in a big way. Eamon Whalen provided scoring for this team that, like you said, they haven't seen since Gracio Brito, who's now an assistant coach on the team. But also they haven't seen scoring like this even since Simon Hine, who about 4 years ago graduated. And he put up stellar numbers from the Bobcats to let him on that amazing run. But I think Whalen can now do it. We've seen the numbers he puts up just in his freshman year. And like I said, like Coach Eric DeCosta said when we were talking about Yakovitis, he likes to build it from the back end. If he can worry about his defense and just have someone up top that just to put goals in the back of the net, that's his dream world. That's all he wants, and that's all he needs to have a good team. And I think Whalen can provide it for him.
Absolutely fantastic season for the freshman, Connor. But let's move along. Now we have our personal top 10s. Yeah. We saw the Bobcat Breakdown top 10 throughout the show. Now let's get on to our personal top 10s. You want to start it off?
Yeah, I'll start it off. And like we said, these are from kind of the top 10 of the show, but they're very different. So for my number 10, Jess Fontaine. Coming in at number 9, Maria Pansari. Number 8, Angie King. Number 7, Chris Yakovitis. Number 6, Nadia Gill. Number 5, Maggie Miles. Number 4, Iona Mara. Number 3, Savannah Riley. Number 2, Eamon Whalen. And number 1, Jen Coffey. Probably the surprise on this list. We had her up at number 9 on the Bobcat Breakdown one. But I think personally, Jen Coffey was probably the best player and the best player for her team, which is important too on this fall semester. What about your top 10 though, Andrew?
Right. We disagree a lot in our top 10s.
I would say a lot would be an understatement, but okay.
Which I like. We'll get to that in a little bit. But here's my top 10. Jess Fontaine coming in at number 10, followed by Chris Yakovitis, Nadia Gill, Savannah Riley, Maria Pansari, 5, Jen Coffey, 4, Angie King, and my top 3, Maggie Miles, Alona Marr, and number 1 is Eamon Whalen, so I agree with the Bobcat Breakdown top 10. Let's start off with the top 3, Connor, though. Let's debate that a little bit. I got Maggie Miles at number 3. You have Savannah Riley. What was your reasoning for Savannah Riley at 3?
Well, I think Savannah Riley was a personal standout on her team. Maggie Miles is a part of an unbelievable team. She may have been the best player on the team, but I think without her, the team still could have done pretty well this season, maybe even win a national championship. Savannah Riley, though, I thought was instrumental in what they kind of did in the Big East. It's a big step from the MAC to the Big East, and I think she was an instrumental part of it in captainship and also in the fact that she was putting points on the board.
I can totally see that. However, my argument against Riley and for Maggie Miles would be that Maggie Miles was absolutely as perfect as you can be for this women's rugby team. Like I said earlier in the show, she didn't miss a tackle all season, according to head coach Becky Carlson. However, Savannah Riley's team didn't even make the playoffs. Maggie Miles, they won their second consecutive national championship.
But was she the reason they won the national championship?
Of course she was the reason.
You would say that, and it's such an amazing team like that she was the sole reason. Take coaching aside, because coaching's a huge part of that team, which is why they win. You think solely because of her, you take it out, that they probably do not win the national championship?
If you remove Maggie Miles from that team, I don't know who's tackling half of those Central Washington players that are breaking through Quinnipiac's lines. Maggie Miles made fantastic tackles throughout that national championship game. I was there. I saw it firsthand. She was phenomenal. Central Washington had Quinnipiac on its heels in the first 10 minutes of that game. Maggie Miles really stabilized them, and then Quinnipiac got the offense going through Miles, Poole, Marr, and Ross Kopf. Savannah Riley's a tremendous player, top 10 player, no doubt, but I don't know about number 3.
Well, you mentioned Marr. What was your reasoning for putting her number 2? You have 2 rugby players right there, 2, 3, and 2. What was the reason over someone like a Coffey or maybe even a Riley, like I mentioned?
So Alona Marr is a rare combination of size, speed, and strength. She was an absolute bulldozer for Quinnipiac, and she was hurt for most of the year. She was a huge reason why the Bobcats beat the best team in college rugby in Penn State. Penn State didn't have a collegiate loss in 5 years. Alona Marr was hurt in that game, and Quinnipiac beat them by 20 points. She was also instrumental in the national championship game against Central Washington, where Quinnipiac hadn't beaten Central Washington in 2 previous matchups. Alona Marr was dominant throughout the season, throughout her career at Quinnipiac.
Well, I don't think we really need to argue much about our 2 with Whalen and Marr. I think they're both very deserving. But the big difference, I think, is probably at number 1. You have Whalen at number 1. I have Coffey at number 1. I want to hear your case first, though, for Whalen.
You go first. I went first last time.
Okay, I'll go first. I can talk all day about Jen Coffey. She was, like I said, electric for this women's volleyball team. She led in every single offensive category. Legit every single one. Kills per game. anything that you can imagine. Her and Pansari worked hand in hand to bring this team out from the depths of the NCAA Division I college volleyball program all the way to the MAC championship, which no one saw. And I really think it's because of her. We heard a lot from Allison Lee, Emma Ogden, all players that we really thought that were going to be amazing for this team. But she really came out of nowhere, and I think she is the most deserving to be the best player in this fall semester.
So Jen Coffey was the 26, was whatever her senior year in high school was. I think it was 2014. She was the New Hampshire State Player of the Year. So coming into Quinnipiac, you knew what Jen Coffey could do.
But to this extent? To this
Yeah,
extent?
yeah, to this extent.
You really thought she was
She's
going
a
to
State Player of the Year, Gatorade State Player of the Year.
I think she's the biggest surprise.
Connor, there's 50 Gatorade State Players of the Year in the country. You knew what she was going to do coming into Quinnipiac. However, Eamon Whalen, Coach Eric DaCosta said it earlier in the season, Eamon isn't going to be the player that is going to be scoring goals for us. Eamon Whalen scored 11 goals this season, surprised everyone, was quiet about it, was absolutely fantastic. I think he deserved the #1 spot.
We'll agree to disagree. I know this will probably go on for the rest of the semester, and we'll probably take a little studying break from finals to talk about this as well. But that will really do it here for this special edition of Bobcat Breakdown. This is our last show of the semester, so a big thank you to all of our viewers.
Also, a huge thank you to our producers, along with everyone else at Q30 and QBSN. We will see you in the spring. Thank you, and have a good night.